Hello everyone, good morning. Those who haven't downloaded the application, please download it and let me introduce myself. My name is Harshvardhan Singh. I completed my graduation as an engineer, then I did my masters in economics. Earlier I was selected as an intelligence bureau officer, and since last 8 years I am working as an educator and I am teaching history, economics and international relations. Unacademy is having more than 15,000 courses, and we have choices for you: 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. We provided you the plus and iconic courses, so please take the admission for it. Take a subscription on Unacademy, and please use my code HARSHV10. It will give you 10% discount at time. So today we are going to discuss the unification of Italy. In the last lecture we mentioned about how unification of Italy was a near to impossible task because we mentioned that the northern portion was under Austria, central portion was under Papal State, and the southern portion was under France. Clear? And as I mentioned that Italy, the Sardinia led that movement, and as compared to others, Sardinia was weak in political aspect, social aspect, and economic aspect as compared to Prussia. So unification of Italy is a nearly impossible task. Okay? So earlier we mentioned that revolution of 1820 was there, revolution of 1830 was there. We mentioned R2, R1, and 1848 we mentioned R3. So this revolution gives birth to Young Italy movement. They tried to revolt, but revolution was suppressed because of Metternich system. Then we mention about revolution third, end of Metternich system, but it is the end of Metternich system, not Austria. Austria is still most important power, and because of that, suppression of this revolt. And we mentioned in the last lecture that change in the guard. The Sardinia gets new king known as Victor Emmanuel and new chief minister known as Cavour. Yes. So these things we mentioned in the last lecture. So today we are going to discuss the next part of it. So Italian unification from 1848 to 1859. In 1848, as I mentioned, enemies remain the same. Austria is obstacle, Papal State is obstacle, and presence of France is also obstacle. And at the same time, as we mentioned, Italy was not economically strong. So when Cavour became prime minister or chief minister, sorry, Cavour became chief minister of Sardinia. What he did, he tried to introduce economic reforms. Clear? He focuses on industrialization. Sorry. And and he's tried to strengthen armed forces. Clear? So Cavour started economic reforms, industrialization, and strengthened the armed forces because if they want to fight against Austria, at least they should have something. So they started these reforms, but still, as compared to Germany, as compared to Prussia, they were weak in all the aspects. And with this, they are not in a position to fight against Austria, France, or Papal State. So what they have? Nothing. And as I told you, Cavour was a chief minister, but at the same time, Cavour was a well-known diplomat. A well-known diplomat. He knew that he was a wise person. He knew that his strength and weaknesses, and the most important thing that he knew that Sardinia not at all in a position to wage a war against Austria, France, or Papal State. Clear? Next thing, what they have to do? They just waited for an opportunity, and that opportunity was provided in the form of Crimean War. Crimea. Crimea was a province of Ottoman Empire. Crimea was a province in Ottoman Empire, and everybody knew about the expansion of Ottoman Empire was in Europe plus Asia. And it is the same time now there is a declining process started. Declining process. The declining process of Ottoman Empire started. And you know that the word empire is that, and at that time, as I mentioned, Europe and Asia, the empire consists of multi-religious and multilingual people. Population. Yes, exactly. Multilingual, multi-religious population. What happened with the decline of these part, means with the decline of Ottoman Empire, the issue is emerged in this area that who is going to control the holy places, Christian holy places. Who is going to control? There were two views. One view is of Greek monk, other view is of Latin monk. Who is going to control, Greek or Latin? As the word is monk, that means a religious person. And when religion is there, they are not going to fight battle by their own. So what happened? Russia supported the claim of Greek monk, whereas Britain and France supported the claim of Latin monk. So here we mention the Greek monk was supported by Russia and Latin monk was supported by Britain and France. So if you use the common sense, you will get to know who is going to emerge as a victor. Russia versus Britain plus France. Who is going to emerge? Of course, Britain and France. And why? Colonial masters, largest empire of that time. So, and of course, Britain was having strongest navy and France was having strongest army of that time. So logically, anybody can guess that Britain and France is going to defeat Russia. So such powerful countries were there. So Kaur took this opportunity. Kaur realizes that Britain and France is going to defeat Russia. So he supported Britain and France. He took part in that from the side of Britain and France, and the resultant of that is defeat of Russia and victory of these. Clear? So victory of Latin monk. Now what? You know that after war there is a treaty, and what is the purpose of treaty? Treaty is there to provide peace. And how peace is going to prevail? By recognizing the claim of any party. The peace is prevailed. Basically, treaty is accent given by one country or other country or any particular issue. That is treaty. So after Crimean War, there was a Treaty of Paris, and in that treaty, the victor countries as well as the defeated nation invited to present their views. Of course, everybody is having a right to present their view. So invitation is given to all, including Sardinia. Sardinia is a part of victor country. Clear? But in return, Sardinia is not getting anything. Then why Sardinia went there? What's the use of that? Why Sardinia? It's very simple. Sardinia went there because they first time gets the opportunity to represent themselves at an international platform. at the international platform. Kaur doesn't want to miss this opportunity. As I mentioned, Kaur, who was he? He was a chief minister as well as he was a diplomat. He was a sharp person, shrewd person. So he doesn't want to miss this opportunity. And that's why when he got the opportunity, he went to Paris as the representative of Sardinia. And what he did, when he gets the chance to present the case of Sardinia in front of others, means in front of Britain, in front of France, in front of Russia, he utilizes that opportunity and he exposed the Austrian dominance over that area. He exposed the Austrian suppression of Italian people. So basically what he did, he internationalized the issue of Italian unification. Earlier the issue was basically here is Sardinia, here is Austria. So this issue was basically local issue between these. Now the issue gets internationalized. Why? Because presented in front of international power at that time. So when he presented the case, he got the sympathy from Britain and France. Britain directly said, if people wants if people wants unification, then Britain is with them. Clear? So with help of that, Sardinia made Britain neutral. What about France? France also have the same sympathy. France said that okay, if people want unification, then they are with them. But Sardinia doesn't want just sympathy from France. Why? Because they knew alone they cannot defeat Austria and forget about the Papal State. So they want some strong support, and France is a neighboring country. So that's why they were in hope that France is going to help them to defeat Austria and grab the territories. But why should France support? There should be some vested interest. France doesn't have any vested interest in Italian unification. Then why should France support? France just sympathized the issue. That's it. But as I mentioned, Sardinian people want more support, and that's why, that's the reason in 1858 an Italian revolutionary leader attempt to assassinate Napoleon III. Attempt to assassinate Napoleon III. He threw three bombs. Just imagine, three bombs over Napoleon III, and somehow Napoleon III escaped from it. Somehow he saved his life, but it was a real shock for him. Clear? After that, it changed the Napoleon's attitude towards unification of Italy. And how it is so? Because this revolutionary person wrote a letter. He wrote a letter to Napoleon, and in that letter he presented his case. He said that why he threw the bomb, why he wants France support, because he clearly mentioned that without your support our dream is not going to fulfill. Clear? So we required your help. Along with that, in this letter he mentioned that I am the one of the person, there are many to come if you are not going to support us. So it is basically request plus threatening. So this changes the attitude of Napoleon towards Italian unification. But as I said, it is not a charitable thing. You're helping other country, in return you should get something. Am I right or wrong? In return you should get something. So Kaur knew that it is a give and take policy. So Kaur secretly met Napoleon III. Secretly, and that secret meeting is known as Pact of Lombaris. That secret meeting is known as Pact of Lombaris, and in that pact some agreements were made, and that agreement was basically Kaur asked help of Napoleon to grab Venetia and Lombardy. Venetia and Lombardy were the provinces of Austria, and they were Italian speaking provinces, so Cavour wants the help. But Napoleon in return wants something, so Cavour with the heavy hearted agreed to surrender Nice and Savoy to France. Nice and Savoy to France, and Venetia and Lombardy to Sardinia. Clear? So it was a case. Next, after that pact, Sardinia invaded Austria. Sardinia announced a war against Austria. So war was going on. Combined army of France. So this is the war going on Austria on the other side versus Sardinia with the hidden support of France. So this combined army defeated Austria and captured Lombardy. They captured Lombardy. And this combined army was on verge to defeat Austria and grab Venetia. But France unilaterally retreated from the war. France unilaterally retreated from the war. Why? Because after thinking a lot, Napoleon thought Nice and Savoy are very small territories as compared to Venetia and Lombardy. Along with that, France and Austria doesn't have any enmity. And if Austria gets to know that France supported Sardinia to defeat Austria, then it will cause enmity. So because to avoid that, France unilaterally retreated from the war, and now there is a dilemma in front of Sardinia. What to do? Either to continue the war or discontinue. Either to continue or discontinue. Cavour was supporting this thing. Cavour said that we are on the verge to defeat Austria in Venetia, so we are going to grab Venetia. And to discontinue this, Victor Emmanuel support this idea of retreating the war. Why it is so? Because Victor Emmanuel considered that we are not at all in a position to defeat Austria. Clear? We defeated Austria with help of France. Alone we cannot. And if we continue this war, then definitely we are going to suffer a defeat. Along with that, Austria is going to take revenge and they are going to take back Lombardy as well. So there was when Victor Emmanuel, he was a king, so he said that we are going to discontinue, and that made Cavour unhappy. That made Cavour unhappy, dissatisfied, and finally he gave resignation. Because over this issue he gave resignation. Victor Emmanuel was it's okay. If you want to resign, just leave it. Because he knew that Cavour right now angry. Cavour's intention is noble, but he is not visualizing the practical thing. So that's why he didn't pay that much attention towards Cavour, but he was firm with his idea of discontinuation of war, and that discontinuation of war leads to Peace of Villafranca. The word itself mentioned Peace of Villafranca means there should not be any enmity prevail after that. So the Peace of Villafranca, the arrangements are like as committed to France, Nice and Savoy surrendered to France by Sardinia. Second arrangement, Austria retains Venetia, and the third arrangement, Sardinia got Lombardy. Sardinia got Lombardy, Nice and Savoy given to France, and Austria retains Venetia. Cavour was highly disappointed with that. Cavour was highly disappointed because he said that it's cheating. At the same time, Garibaldi was also angry. In unification of Italy, the four people are most important. One is Cavour, the another is Victor Emmanuel, Victor Emmanuel. Third is Mazzini, as we mentioned in the last lecture, Mazzini, that is leader of Young Italy movement, and Garibaldi. Yes, these four people played important role in unification of Italy. So who is Garibaldi then? Let me explain. Garibaldi. Garibaldi was a revolutionary leader. First of all, he was a part of Young Italy movement. Garibaldi was a part of Young Italy movement. He took participation in Revolution II, that is 1830. With the suppression of this revolution, he escaped and settled in America, not as USA, American continent. Yes, he settled in American continent. After many years, when he realizes the situation in Italian-speaking area isn't favorable of unification, he came back and settled near Sicily Island. His followers used to wear red shirt, so that's why his followers known as Red Shirt Army. Clear? Any doubt? Yes, everyone? Any doubt? No. Good. So here, what we have mentioned, that is first point, we mentioned that Crimean War provided the opportunity for Sardinia to represent themselves at international platform. Here, the issue of Crimean War was basically Latin monk versus Ring War, victory of Latin monk, and Latin monk was supported by Britain and France. So, resultant of that was Treaty of Paris, 1856. In that treaty, Cavour, representing Sardinia, he presented the view of unification of Italy and he exposes the Austrian dominance over Italian peninsula and how they did injustice with the Italian people. So he exposes it very well. Because of that, he got the sympathy from Britain as well as France, but they just don't want a sympathy from France. They want active participation from the France, but France was unwilling to do so. So one revolutionary leader, he threw a bomb and tried to assassinate Napoleon III, which changed the attitude of Napoleon III, and Sardinian chief minister, that is Cavour, took the opportunity and he made a secret pact with Napoleon, that is known as Plaque of Lombaris. So France agreed to support Sardinia to get Venetia and Lombardy. At the same time, France will get Nice and Savoy of Sardinia. Clear? So till this we discuss. Next thing, next, Peace of Villafranca, and why this Peace of Villafranca? The background is provided by the war between Austria and Sardinia. In that war, we mentioned France and Sardinia combinedly defeated Austria, captured Lombardy. Then France unilaterally retreated from the war because of the fear, because of whatever they are getting in return from Sardinia is too low as compared to they are giving Sardinia, that is Lombardy and Venetia, is too much. Along with that, they are having fear of enmity with Austria, so that's why they unilaterally retreated from that war, and that resulted into peace of Villafranca. This peace settled the issue between Austria and Sardinia for time being. How Sardinia got Lombardy, Austria retains Venetia, and Nice and Savoy surrendered to France by Sardinia. So Cavour was disappointed. Cavour gave resignation over that, and he said he was so angry, but later on he realizes and he said one statement, and this statement is very famous. And as a UPSC aspirant, you should always remember this thing. What he said: they stopped unifying Italy from north. They stopped me unifying Italy from north. I'm going to unify Italy through south with the revolution. As you know that he was trying to unify Italy from here. Here is Lombardy, here is Venetia, here is Sardinia and all. He said that they stopped me unifying Italy from north. I'm going to unify Italy from south through revolution. Means in your life as well, if one road is closed, do not get disheartened. Try to find out another road, because your destiny, your aim is different. Their aim was unification. So it doesn't matter whether you are going to unify Italy from north or from south or from central. It doesn't matter. What is required? Unification. The same way, whatever is your aim, you want to be IAS, IPS, IRS, IFS, whatever it may be there. If one road is going to block by anything, try to open another, try to find another route, but try to achieve your goal. Okay? Okay, so that's all for today's lecture. Thank you very much for your valuable time. Have a good day, great day, and once again, happy Diwali to all of you.